Hey everybody, Voice Hacks by Mary Z back once again, and I am streaming live on a Friday night. I know that probably makes you think I have no life, but actually I was working teaching students in China. It's across the international date line, and so it's Saturday morning over there. So I'm the only person working on Friday night so that I can connect with people all over the world. So I just got done and I thought I would do a little bit of a live stream here and go over a little bit of a video that I didn't do very well when I first did it, but the information is really good. My video on how to false chord scream is really good information, but you guys always comment that I look like a floating head. And I do look like a floating head in the video because I'm wearing a black shirt and it's a high contrast black background and you can just see my head. So let's talk about how to false chord scream. What is it? What does it mean? And then you guys can have this video for instead of my head floating video. But please watch that one anyway, because that one is really informative. And I have a lot of cool diagrams and things that where I explain it very well in the video. If you can get past the floating head part, it's one of my most popular videos. So how to false chord scream. One of the things that we need to understand about distortion is that it comes from the other tissues in our trachea. So watch my video that I did. It was also a live stream called, what did I call it? What to feel in my, what should I feel in my throat while screaming? That's what I called it. Okay, so what I said was that you should feel the other tissues vibrating, and we don't want to do any sort of screaming by actually yelling. We actually want to generate distortion from our other tissues, from like our soft palate and our false cords. Our false cords sit inside our trachea, our windpipe, along with our vocal cords. Our vocal cords sit on top of the windpipe, and then our false cords sit right above that, right next to them. And then we have other tissues, the soft palate and the uvula and other things in the back of the throat here. And go watch that other video, like I was saying, if you want a closer look at that. See where those things are, but they're not your vocal cords. So what damages people's voice is when you yell and you slam your vocal cords together like this, and you don't really know you're doing it because we don't have tactile nerve endings in the vocal cords, and we can't feel it like when you slam your hands together. So we can feel some tension and strain, and then we get hoarse afterwards because the pounding of the vocal cords together makes them swell, and that's when we have problems and injuries and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So to do a death metal false chord scream, this is what I define as false chord screaming, is where the vocal cords sit open over the windpipe. So they're just sitting open. They're not like this. If you were to look down at them, they are not closed. We're not singing. When we're singing, they're closed. They come together. If we're looking down from above the windpipe, when we're false chording, they should be sitting open like this. I'm having a hard time with my angles here. And when we fry, it's distortion with our vocal cords sitting closed and the air is just passing right through them. They're not undulating like when we sing. When we sing, they should be going like this and coming together smoothly. So when we false chord scream, we just want to make the distortion without our vocal cords, without our voice. And this would be more of a rounder, lower sound. It is not the same as fry screaming, which is a higher distortion. But essentially, the distortion feeling is going to come from the same place. So when you get these other tissues besides the vocal cords flapping around, it's going to be creating friction. It's going to make a scratchy feeling. So again, watch that video on what you should feel in your throat while screaming. And we're going to start by making a noise. So you have to make a noise like to get yourself to not put the cords together. So to do that, I always say, imagine that you are a really pissed off teenager and that you don't want to take out the garbage, and or you just walked in the house and your dog pooped on the floor again, and you're mad. So you throw your purse down or whatever in frustration and you go, like that. And that's the sound. We're going to start with the letters H, U, H, H. Huh. Why do we do H? Because H is like a whisper, like that. And when we have a whisper sound, our vocal cords are not coming together. So we want to do H, U, H, H, and try to just think about the feeling and making the sound for right now. Don't try to push anything or grip anything or yell anything. Just to be clear, I'm not going, ha, or ha, or I'm definitely not doing that. This is not what false chord screaming is. It is not that noise. That noise is when you bring the vocal cords together, actually, and they're touching. I mean, sorry, the false chords together, and they're touching at the same time as your vocal cords. So you have two stacks of chords touching, one on top of the other, and that is creating two pitches at once. And it sounds very like, that's the Louis Armstrong. And I think to myself, and we don't want to do that. That's also what Tibetan throat singers do. They go, ah. You can hear there's two pitches at once because I'm bringing both my false chords and my vocal cords together. And that, when you do that, you actually push your larynx out of place, and also you're singing and stuff. So we don't want to be using the voice, and we do not bring the false chords together. They're not touching. So if you're making anything like this, that's not what we want to do. It's not a good sound. It's going to lead to a lot of tension and unhealthy crap. And it's also not the most badass distortion. It's not the sound you want to make anyway. So let go of the throat and flatten the tongue when you try this. So let the front of your tongue be very flat so that your throat relaxes, and give yourself a good like that. Now, take your time and keep working with the sound over and over till you get it. And always imagine it going up into the face. We want it to be going up into the face so that the distortion comes up into the mouth and that we take the pressure off the throat. So now take a deep breath in, lift the chest, and try it again. Oh, now I get a lot more sound out. There's a lot more. Watch my Breathing for Screamers videos to learn a little bit more about that. But just generally lifting the chest after you take a deep breath and make an attempt, it will help you get more distortion, help the throat relax even more. You will feel the scratchy sensation when this is happening. You need to feel that. If you're not feeling a scratchy feeling, you're not getting these other tissues vibrating. It is not pain. If you feel any pain, stabbing, aching, gripping, tightening, stop immediately and make sure that your physician has cleared you for vocalizing that your pain is not coming from something else. Or maybe you're just having an off day and you just need to come back later. But don't persist with things if they're painful. That means you're doing something wrong and you need to try again on a different day. You got to be really careful with your voice. You only get one, guys. When in doubt, always see a doctor. No videos, including mine, are an acceptable substitute for the advice of a physician. So you cannot see your voice. Do not make assumptions, okay? So take it easy. And if you experience like sharp or aching pain, stop. Now, there's a very big difference between the kind of scratchy feeling I feel in my throat when these tissues are vibrating. It is friction causing these tissues to vibrate of the air coming out of my body. Otherwise, how are they going to move? They don't have muscles in them. I can't make them move. It's just flappy tissues in the mucous membrane of our trachea that make that sound. So we're just going... And if you can't seem to get a huh out, you can try doing caveman grunts, shorter bursts like he, hoo, hoo. That works too. He, hoo, hoo. Pulsing like that. And really make sure there's no voice in it. He, hoo, hoo. We don't want any of that. It's not he. You can really tell there's no voice. He, hoo, hoo. So now this sound, only because there's no voice in it, only has a general sense of low and a general sense of high to it. So to make it go lower, unlike singing, I'm always harping on when we sing about having a neutral larynx position and how important the neutral larynx is for singing with grit as well, yelling with grit. Anything that has pitch like, hey, yeah, that's using the tissues, the distortion tissues of your soft palate and everything at the same time as singing. So the next question here in the chat window is, how do we do high false chord? So that's what I'm going to get to. So when we change the pitch in false chord, our larynx does move around a lot. And same thing with pure fry. If we're just making pure noise, our larynx is going to move around a lot, and we should let it move around. So just to be clear, when we're singing with grit or rasp or any clean singing, we want our larynx to be neutral, to be safe. When we are doing pure noise, pure false chord or pure fry, our larynx can move around up and down. It can and will, it should, and that's what's going to change the pitch. Since we're not singing and it's not changed by going, we're going to use the movement of the larynx up and down. But you can't use your direct thought to do that, okay? If you try to move your larynx up and down with like direct command, like your arm, you'll fail. You'll just tighten your throat. It'll clench things out. We won't actually be able to sing or scream. So what we have to do is use vowel shapes. Actually, when you change a vowel shape, your larynx naturally moves a little bit. But when we're in false chord or fry, it will move a lot. So in false chord, what we do to drive the pitch low is we round the vowels into O. So whatever all the words are, we're going to do O. And to widen the vowels and lengthen E and Ah for high sounds. And again, it's just a general sense of low or high. You're just rushing noise through a tube, so it's not going to have the specific sense of pitch as yelling or singing or something where we're actually using our vocal cords. So without the vocal cords, it's just a changing of the shape of the tube and a position of my larynx that changes the sound. So let me show you. Let's try the words you must die. I don't know. It's kind of like metal sounding, okay? We're going to try that. I'm going to round the vowels, and I'm going to show you when I round them how it drives the false chord low. So then it sounds like, you must die. So I'm saying the words right, but I'm rounding the lips. And as everybody knows, when you do like false chord or fry, you're not going to get a lot of diction out. It's hard to be a well understood screamer. So do the best as you can, but if you round it, my larynx drops really low. And on men, you can see it because you have an Adam's apple. On women, our cartilage is pretty much flat. We do not have an Adam's apple. So you're not going to be able to see it really. Like I think I can show you. Oh, there you could kind of see it a little bit. Yeah, this line here. So instead of an Adam's apple, it's this line here that's going to move. That's my larynx. So when I round it, it just drives it low. I'm not pushing it low. I'm not pushing on my tongue like in a tunnel throat technique. I don't want people to push on their larynx. Just let it go down. It will just go down when you round the vowel. You must die. See how it just goes by itself. I don't have to force it. So to do high false chord then, I'm going to do the same words. I'm going to widen it with like almost an E shape. And to do it even higher, we make it an ah shape. So I'll start with like a wide on you must. And then for die, I'm going to open it longer, and then it will get high. And that's all I have to do. I don't have to push it. I don't have to tighten my throat. I am pushing more air from my stomach. So please watch the Breathing for Screamers video, because you guys really need to know how to push your air from underneath the lungs to get the power here. So I'm going to show you medium to high here. You must die! Like that. So you could see. And also I'm visualizing in my mind all of the static and the white noise going up through my sinuses forward into my face. That really, really helps. Try to not think about pushing on the throat or generating anything from the throat as much as possible. And you will feel most of the distortion in the soft palate, but obviously in the false chords too. Otherwise it wouldn't be called false chord screaming. But they're not coming together. It's not you must die. It's not like that at all. And that's not badass sounding. That's the sound that you want to make. Trust me, when you go into the studio, that's not what you want to hear. You want to hear the other tissues. It sounds more badass. So that has been today's brief live stream after my night of teaching people overseas in another country. And if you want voice lessons on Skype, I teach students all over the world every single week. Please email me. I book them by email only. So email me at voicehacks@gmail.com, voicehacks, all one word, at gmail.com to book your lessons on Skype. I can give you my rates and scheduling in any time zone worldwide, anywhere worldwide. So as long as you have Skype and a device that runs it and some decent Wi-Fi, we can do lessons. So I realize the videos really don't they give you the steps, but I can really fine-tune everything and help you with any issues and help you break your plateaus if you reach out to me for lessons. Real quick before I go, we have one last question. It says, I am trying to sound like Louis Armstrong and Joe Cocker. Could I teach it? I don't like to teach it, but basically if you impersonate them, you'll end up doing it. Think to myself. But I hate that sound. Joe Cocker doesn't do that too much, to be honest. He actually more sings with rasp, like, not feeling too good right now. Something like that, you know. I'm feeling all right. I'm trying to think of like how he would sing just off the top of my head. And that is singing with grit or rasp. I really don't recommend making grit by bringing your false chords together. The reason why I don't like to teach that is it pushes your larynx down, and that inhibits your singing. It makes your singing sound froggy because your soft palate drags when your larynx moves out of position, either too high or too low. So you could just try imitating him, but I don't really recommend doing that. Don't do it. Don't do Louis Armstrong. It's going to hurt your voice, and you're not going to be singing properly. So I would stick with more Joe Cocker and go with singing with grit or rasp. And you can watch my tutorial on singing with grit or rasp. It's already up on YouTube. Thank you guys very much. Have a great Friday night, and I hope this has been a better How to False Chord Scream video. Thank you. Have a good one.